It is time now for weather with Market Journal Meteorologist Eric Hunt. Eric, it's certainly warming up out here in North Platte today. I understand you have another extended outlook for us. What can we expect from Mother Nature in the weeks ahead?
I kind of want to start off today by taking a look and review what we had for May in terms of stormy weather, why we had that. Now, our current sea surface temperature anomaly is again very, very warm across a lot of the Atlantic Basin, the Caribbean, and Gulf of Mexico. So we certainly have the stage set for a potentially very active hurricane season. Also direct your attention to this very, very warm nose of water across portions of the North and Central Pacific. And we also had, in that same area, we had a lot of very strong ridging. So again, this kind of helped reinforce this atmospheric ridging across the south of the Gulf of Alaska. And the troughs are kind of coming, alongside of that toward the east, and diving into California, moving up into the northern plains. So we had lower height anomalies here across the northern plains, means we had more troughing in that region. And to the south and east of that, we had a lot of severe weather in the month of May. A lot of tornadoes, a lot of hail. The Omaha office has already issued 94 tornado warnings this year. That is a record going back to 1986, with 53 in April. So again, this really kind of started at the very end of April and carried into the month of May. The North Platte office hasn't issued nearly as many as they had issued, say, 15, 20 years ago. But May 23rd was a top 5 date for tornado warnings issued. So again, some portions of western Nebraska haven't been spared from this either. Precipitation month of May was very, very heavy across a lot of eastern and central Nebraska, a little bit less than average kind of south of Lincoln, a little bit drier than average across western Nebraska. And we did see some tremendous drought improvements here, kind of from Columbus down toward York and heading toward the Kansas border. Some slight degradation across western Nebraska. But anyway, this precipitation in eastern Nebraska in general was good news. Now, there was some flooding, but just given that we're, from spring of 22 to spring of 23, so this was released earlier this year, we saw some significant groundwater declines for a second straight year across a lot of Nebraska, particularly in eastern Nebraska. So the eradication of drought is certainly good news for our groundwater. Moving to the seasonal outlook, the CPC shows a very good chance of below average precipitation across the entire middle of the country, including all of Nebraska from July to September, with warm temperatures expected. The European model is actually showing, in terms of height anomalies, they're showing relatively high height anomalies across the entire United States, with the exception of the Northwest. Now, if we take a look at the composites for analogs 2020, 2010, and 2016, this actually does verify a little bit with more higher height anomalies in the eastern United States, lower anomalies in the western United States. And with this, they are expecting warm temperatures across the central United States. If we take a look at the composites from 2010 through 2020, or 2010, 16, and 20, again, generally above average, particularly in the east, but pretty much every climate division in Nebraska comes out warm. So I'm fairly confident July and August being warmer than average across this region. And if we go back and take a look, through history, 2010 and 2020 were above average for temperatures in July and August. 2016 came in a little bit below average. The seasonal outlook from the European model for July and August is below average across the Panhandle and parts of central Nebraska, maybe slightly above in southeastern Nebraska. Composites not showing a real strong signal, wet or dry across the state, but a little bit wetter further east in the Corn Belt. But again, if we take a look at the precipitation trends, 2010 and 2016 were a little bit above average. 2020 was a little below average for July and August precipitation. And the drought outlook for the rest of the summer is actually some eradication across portions of southeastern Nebraska. Now, again, I am a little concerned about drought formation across the Panhandle if we don't start getting some rain soon. Thanks. Back to you.